Orlando, a Biography. Orlando, a Biography is a novel by Virginia Woolf. First published on the 11th of October 1928. Inspired by the tumultuous family history of the aristocratic poet and novelist Vita Sackville-West, Woolf's lover and close friend. It is arguably one of her most popular novels. Orlando is a history of English literature in satiric form. The book describes the adventures of a poet who changes sex from man to woman and lives for centuries, meeting the key figures of English literary history. Considered a feminist classic, the book has been written about extensively by scholars of women's writing and gender and transgender studies. The novel has been adapted a number of times. In 1989, director Robert Wilson and writer Darryl Pinkley collaborated on a single-actor theatrical production. This had its British premiere at the Edinburgh Festival in 1996, with Miranda Richardson playing the title role. Isabelle Huppert performed in the version in French, which opened at the Théâtre Vidéo Lausanne in Lausanne, Switzerland, in 1993. A film adaptation by Sally Potter, simply titled Orlando, was released in 1992, starring Tilda Swinton in the title role. A stage adaptation by Sarah Ruhl premiered in New York City in 2010. And the novel was also adapted into operatic works. Plot summary. The eponymous hero is born as a male nobleman, in England during the reign of Elizabeth I. He undergoes a mysterious change of sex at the age of about 30 and lives on for more than 300 years into modern times without aging perceptibly. As a teenage boy, the handsome Orlando serves as a page at the Elizabethan court, and becomes the favorite of the elderly queen. After her death, he falls deeply in love with Sasha, an elusive and somewhat feral princess in the entourage of the Russian embassy. This episode, of love and ice skating against the background of the celebrated frost fair held on the frozen Thames River during the Great Frost of 1608. When birds froze in mid-air and fell like stones to the ground, inspired some of Virginia Woolf's most bravura writing. Great statesmen, in their beards and ruffs, dispatched affairs of state under the crimson awning of the royal pagoda. Frozen roses fell in showers when the Queen and her ladies walked abroad. Near London Bridge, where the river had frozen to a depth of some 20 fathoms, a wrecked wherry boat was plainly visible, lying on the bed of the river where it had sunk last autumn, overladen with apples. The old bumboat woman, who was carrying her fruit to market on the Surrey side, sat there in her plaids and farthingales with her lap full of apples, for all the world as if she were about to serve a customer, though a certain blueness about the lips hinted the truth. The melting of the ice coincides with Sasha's unfaithfulness and sudden departure for Russia. The desolate Orlando returns to writing The Oak Tree, a long poem started and abandoned in his youth. He meets and hospitably entertains an invidious poetaster, Nicholas Green, who proceeds to find fault with Orlando's writing. Later Orlando feels betrayed on learning that he has been lampooned in one of Green's subsequent works. A period of contemplating love and life leads Orlando to appreciate the value of his ancestral stately home, which he proceeds to furnish lavishly. There he plays host to the populace. Ennui sets in and Orlando feels harassed by a persistent suitor, the tall and somewhat androgynous Archduchess Harriet, leading Orlando to look for a way to leave the country. He is appointed by King Charles II as ambassador to Constantinople. Orlando performs his duties well, until a night of civil unrest and murderous riots. He falls asleep for a period of days, and others cannot rouse him. Orlando awakens to find that he has metamorphosed into a woman. The same person, with the same personality, and intellect. But in a woman's body. Although the narrator of the novel professes to be disturbed and befuddled by Orlando's change, the fictional Orlando complacently accepts the change. From here on, Orlando's amorous inclinations change frequently. Although she stays biologically female, the now Lady Orlando covertly escapes Constantinople in the company of a Romany clan. She adopts their way of life until its essential conflict with her upbringing leads her to head home. Only on the ship back to England, with her constraining female clothes and an incident in which a flash of her ankle nearly results in a sailor's falling to his death, does she realize the magnitude of becoming a woman. She concludes it has an overall advantage, declaring, "Praise God, I'm a woman." Back in England, Orlando is hounded again by the Archduchess, who now reveals herself to be a man. The Archduke Harry. Orlando evades his marriage proposals. She goes on to switch gender roles, dressing alternately as a man and woman. Orlando engages energetically with life in the 18th and 19th centuries, holding court with great poets, notably Alexander Pope. Critic Nick Green, apparently also timeless, reappears and promotes Orlando's writing, promising to help her publish The Oak Tree. Orlando wins a lawsuit over her property and marries a sea captain, Marmaduke Bonthrop Shelmardine. Like Orlando, he is gender non-conforming, and Orlando attributes the success of their marriage to this similarity. In 1928, she publishes The Oak Tree, centuries after starting it, and wins a prize. In the novel's ending, Orlando's husband flies over the mansion in an aeroplane, which hovers above Orlando until Shelmardine leaps to the ground. A stray bird flies over his head and Orlando exults. It's the goose. The wild goose. The novel ends on the final stroke of midnight on Thursday, October 11, 1928, the day the novel would be published. End of the summary. Thank you. Thank you.